go ahead and call the meeting to order. Dawn, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I'm just messing with you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dawn. All right, before we get into the business, I'd like to ask if we could have a moment of silence. We unfortunately lost Dr. Patricia Boone, who is a poll worker and friend of the Office of Elections. So let's take a moment. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate that. Okay. Before you in your binders, you should have your agenda for tonight's meeting. If you take a moment and look that over.
Motion to approve the agenda.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have 2 seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the May 2nd, 2023 regular board meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes from May 2nd, 2023 regular meeting.
Second.
2 seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. All right. The next item on your agenda is unfinished business. The first item under unfinished business is the Pickens, Dawson County Joint Resolution. You will find that tabbed in your notebook. And I believe that we've had a discussion in the past about this and the reason why we're having this particular item. Mr. Landrum, have you spoken with the Dawson County attorney?
I haven't, not recently. Stacy and I were thinking we'd let y'all look at it, get your comments, and then if you want y'all to do it, just send it over there, let them look at it.
Okay.
And then maybe not vote on it tonight. Just for your comments, that any revisions that y'all see that you want, we'll make that, send it to Dawsonville, send it to Dawson County, get their comments, and then each board can approve the resolution after that.
Okay. All right. So does anyone have any feedback for Stacy or questions for Mr. Landrum about any of the language? I know some of it is legalese that is required to be in this. But it is, the purpose of it, as a reminder, is to have a common statement that both election offices will say, since Big Canoe is in both counties. And residents technically have a Jasper mailing address, but if they pay taxes in Dawson, then that is where they will have to vote. So
they'll get their mail in Pickens County.
Yes, ma'am. Their boxes are on the Pickens County side of,
How will they get their voting identification?
it will be sent to their mailing address. You're talking about their precinct card? That'll be sent to their mailing address.
To Dawson County.
Everyone inside of Big Canoe, the mail gets delivered to the Pickens County side.
Okay.
That's where the mail hub is.
And it will know what, somehow or other, it will know whether it's a Dawson County voting ID or Pickens County ID. So y'all worked that out with the Dawson County people?
Yes.
Okay.
Phil, the legalese and all this wording, is this what we've written up, or they had input on it too? Because I know that they did a while back, so I think.
Mike, I think they've had some input on that. I don't know if they're, I have no idea if their board has, but
Their attorney,
it's in real close to final form.
yeah, their attorney, we sent it to their attorney originally. Their attorney had some revisions and sent it back to us. We made the revisions. So we have it out to the board for y'all to review, and if y'all are okay with it, we'll send it back to their attorney, and then they'll present it to their board to be
Okay.
signed, and then we'll present it to our board to be signed.
Okay.
I thought it spelled it out pretty well as to what
Yeah.
differentiated.
And it may just be my book, but I have 2 copies of the signature page. There would only be one, correct?
Well, one for each board.
One, okay, one for each, so we would have 2, okay, fair enough.
And
Good to know.
probably, we'll probably duplicate it and have 2 originals, so each board minute will have them original.
Very good. Okay.
So do
All
we
right.
need a motion to?
I don't think so.
No, nothing at this point.
If y'all don't have any comments, we'll forward it on.
Okay.
And then we'll bring it back to you for the actual vote of the resolution.
Once they put their stamp of approval, then we
Make
know
sure
we're
they
dealing
do.
with a final copy, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, thank you. Okay, the next item under unfinished business is the polling place agreement, and you should find that after the Dawson Pickens County agreement. And this, Stacy, correct me if I'm wrong, is something that you basically duplicated from another election office. So this is pretty standard.
Yes, Butts County was nice enough to share their agreement with us, and we tailored it to fit our needs, and this is for the board to review and let me know if they are okay with the wording or if they want to make any changes. And I know Terry had emailed today about a change that she would like to make, so
Do you want me to say about that?
if you would like,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, so in paragraph 2, I mean, this is just, this is kind of a, I don't know if we call it a typo or whatever we call it, but the very last sentence that says on election day beginning at 5:30, I think that should be tacked on to the first sentence, so it'll be to deliver, set up, and collect voting equipment, comma, and small o, on election day, beginning at 5:30 and ending as late as midnight. So it makes it, you know, it's not a, just a phrase hanging out there at the end. But the more important thing is that I think that we need to have a paragraph regarding security of the equipment when it's sitting on their property, so that the only people who have access to that equipment are elections officials, except during the actual hours that the poll is open, when of course the general public would also be in the room with the equipment, but otherwise I think it needs to be secured. So people aren't just kind of walking in and out of the meeting, or the room.
Would you expect them to provide security or us?
Well, I mean, I'm talking about that there'd be a secured room. So for example, at Tate, where I was a poll manager back in the day, you know, the equipment was put in the, I think it's a coach's office, I don't know. It's an office in the gym that's locked. And then in the morning, the poll manager unlocks the room, we get everything out, set it up. So something, I think it needs to, I mean, it's locked up at at Stacy's office, and we need something.
So at some of the locations, they don't have rooms like that to lock it up, but we do have the seals, the security seals that we put on it when it leaves our office. And then we also, when we drop it off, we have a cable that runs through the equipment and is locked that we can only unlock, so no one can get into the equipment that way either. So we have that security, but not every polling location that we have is gonna have a closet like that to lock it in.
I think the board has the responsibility of making the machines secure, obviously. I don't know that we can delegate that to the owner of the
Okay.
premise, and then even in a situation where they can provide us a locked room, how many people have keys and access to that?
So we may have to look at other options on how we can actually ensure that they're secured once they are dropped
They're in a locked
off.
building at least, right? They're in
Yes.
a locked
Yeah.
building, and so then if there is an issue, not that there should be, but if there ever was, we would have to assume that it had somebody that had a key. I mean, I think that narrows it down, but, and again, we have then our security placed on the machines, and then the extra cable locks.
Yeah, we'll know if the machine's been tampered with.
Stacy, is any of this, I know maybe because we're still kind of reviewing it, but has there been any discussion or anything with any of the places that have this? To see
Not
what-
yet, no. I wanted the board to have their input on the verbiage of it before we actually started talking to the polling locations about it.
And this would cover us for that, because I don't remember if it was Tate, but I think it was, where it's in the gym, and sometimes there's been issues with keys or access or something that's, I don't remember what's the poll manager's name here, I can't remember, but.
Belinda?
Yeah. That she's at least said stuff to me about, and I'm sure you heard it too. I don't know exactly what the details are, but this would cover that, right? If they sign that, it looks like you sign an agreement. We have to have the access that we need.
Yes, if they sign the agreement, they would be responsible for upholding, the agreement that they signed. But I think a lot of it too is just, more communication with the schools and the principals. We have new principals at all 3 of the polling locations that we use. So I plan on sitting down and talking to each one of them, and familiarizing them with what we do whenever we do use their gyms for voting. So I think just opening the line of communication a little bit more will probably help with what Belinda was experiencing.
Okay.
But whatever it is, they'll have a copy of the agreement as well as us, so they'll know the times exactly. And hopefully they'll adhere to it.
And seeing how this is the first time that we're actually gonna have a written agreement, this is part of the reason, to protect the equipment and protect, everything that's taking place
That the poll
for the poll
managers
managers.
can do what they need to do.
Yes, sir. I think so. So I think that this is a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
And we can look at maybe some of the other counties and see if they have anything in there about any security measures. And you can ask anybody to share, like you did with this form, and we could review this again.
That would be great.
Obviously, we're not ready to take a vote on it tonight, so it's just something that's in the works right now. And just wanted to give you all an update. So we've made note here.
Yes, I would like to have the agreements all signed prior to December with us going into next year's election. So that's my plan, is just start working on it now, have discussion on it, finalize it, get with the polling locations and whoever either owns them or runs them, get the sign off on it and have all of it back in our office by December.
Do you have any goal set with the municipals for the 3 municipal elections to have an agreement set up there?
No, I've talked to all 3 of those, and since we have the IGA with them, I
Yeah.
think it's pretty standard
Okay.
about us using their location since we're
That's
conducting
true,
their
that makes a
elections.
difference. We got,
And then we'll make sure that they'll be included in the 12 different locations that will fill this out come 2024.
And here, in the agreements, where you say owner, would you say capital property owner? You say beginning of the date it's executed by the owners, make that capital P property owner, because you said property owner here at the bottom, it's capitalized. So just to make that,
Okay,
wherever it's owner, and here make it property owner.
okay.
Any other suggestions, comments with the polling agreement? Okay. All right. Then we will go ahead and move on to new business. And the first item on the agenda is the purchase of the Easy Vote software modules. As you may recall, this was something that we have received information on. And Stacy, do you want to give an update about the quote that you have?
Yes, we received our invoice for what we will be paying for the module that we already have, the absentee module. That is coming up due in September. I also included the estimate again from last meeting of what they quoted us to add the additional modules for the program. That would include the absentee, the focus, inventory, the poll worker, and the campaign finance. And then there would be that one-time training and implementation fee, which would make it the $7,750 for us to have all of the modules for Easy Vote. I included a copy of the budget and I highlighted the line item that we would take it out of. We have more than enough money in that line item to cover that. And then I also included the definitions and the little description of each one of the modules that would come with that for you to review again if you needed to. So if the board is okay with putting it to a vote, I asked that they put it to a vote for us to purchase the additional modules. We'll start our learning process on our office for the next couple months, and then we'll implement it countywide, especially the campaign finance, starting January of next year for the elected officials.
So I have a question, and I need to be dense about this. So okay, it's $6,750. That includes the modules we already have,
Yes,
which are
so
$2,500.
If we were to do the additional, we wouldn't have to pay the $2,500. It would
Got
be
it.
included in the $6,000
Got it, and so it's only an extra $4,250. Okay,
to include all of them.
very good, thank you.
Do you think that any of this we might use during the municipals, or is everything gonna get used for 2024?
I would like to see us start using the inventory portion of it as quickly as possible, and then we could use that during the municipal. And of course, with the campaign finance, that will be, countywide or for the municipalities, either one. Once we start implementing that, everyone will use it, whether it's local or county elections or city elections.
I just thought with being a smaller election, always good to
Yeah.
get a little bit of training in there
Practice.
before it turns into a
Get your
big
feet
nightmare.
wet, yeah, get your feet wet, right? This was the original quote, you said they'll honor this price, is that correct?
Yes. I called him after our last meeting in May to let him know that we probably wouldn't have another meeting until August, and made sure that the price he quoted me would not change, and he said no, that he would still honor the price he gave me.
Do we have any other questions about the Easy Vote software?
I'll put a motion out there to purchase the Easy Vote software so that Stacy can get started on that.
Second.
Second. 2 seconds.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. The next item on the agenda, sadly, is to hear from Larry. Larry has submitted his letter of resignation, and we appreciate everything that you have done and all the time that you've given to the election board and working at the polling locations and early voting and what have you, but we want to have time for you to share your thoughts.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, you have to make a speech.
I do, huh? All right. Well, I submitted a letter of resignation to Chris Stansel at the end of May to give ample, plenty of time to find my replacement and get them sworn in place. So August 31 is 90 days out from when I submitted that resignation. So this will be my last beginning as a board member. It has been a pleasure and a learning experience. It has been an honor that and an opportunity to serve the voters of Pickens County. I love this little county, and there are some great people here. There are a few that are challenging too, but a lot of great people and a lot of great folks on this board that have been fun to work with. And Stacy and her staff have been just outstanding. And Phil Landrum, I heard a lot of bad stuff about you before I got to know you. And I would argue with anybody. You have been so helpful, and whatever question I popped at you, you came back with a reasonable answer. And I greatly appreciate that. It's been a pleasure, folks, and I'm going to miss it some, and I want to get an opportunity to still keep a finger in it.
That's right, we'll take you as a poll worker, poll watcher, whatever you can do.
All of the above.
And I do really appreciate, because you made me coming into this board in this role feel very welcome, and you were very supportive and very knowledgeable and helpful, and I do appreciate that. Don't think I'll ever forget the deer incident,
No,
but
no, we're not going to forget that one.
we'll never forget the deer.
But I tell you, the physical,
Demand.
with my back and putting in the long day that's necessary, and the time and getting in and out of vehicles and checking on polling places, was a little more than I can tolerate right now. So,
You don't have to do it, so.
but it's been a fun experience.
Thank you, Larry. Appreciate it. Okay. The next item is for staff comments. Miss Stacy?
We're still learning Jarvis. They're still making updates and changing the system to hopefully work better for us. I know we've had several statewide calls with the Secretary of State's office. They're still trying to get the development team to do everything that they requested for them to do in making the changes and making it work more efficiently for us. I mean, it still works, but there's just a lot of things that they want it to do that building from the ground up, unless you were an election official, sitting there walking through the step-by-step process, somebody who's never done anything with elections would not know how to build the program the way that election officials want. So they're working really hard to get that done. They're hoping by September to have everything completed and it working 100% the way that they want it to work. So let's cross our fingers and hope that that happens. Our office has getting ready for qualifying. We have qualifying starting August the 21st through the 25th from 8:30 in the morning until 4:30 in the evening for the 3 municipalities. That's the city of Jasper, the city of Nelson, and the town of Talking Rock. We have the IGA with them that we hold their elections and we will do their qualifying. We are in the process of hiring another staff member. So hopefully we will have somebody in that position in a couple weeks maybe. It's online, so we're getting applications coming in for an absentee ballot clerk. We're getting them in the office ahead of the election. That way they can work through this municipal election and get some training before next year. And it will be a full-time position. I don't know that all of you know, but Kathy Browning is not going to be working full-time anymore. She is still going to work elections, but she's not working part-time in the office because she's got some things that she was doing at home that needed to be taken care of. But I think just the time that she put into the elections last year really, wore her out. And she's enjoying actually being able to do things and not have to come into the office every week. So we're replacing the 2 part-time positions that we don't have anymore with 1 full-time position.
And Roger's still there, right?
Roger is still here. And Kathy wanted to make it aware to everybody that she's still going to work elections. She's just not wanting to do the part-time position in the office, every week. She said that she just wanted to take a break and not have to be somewhere.
Who's the other part-time position that's not going to be there?
The other Miss Kathy, she had back surgery and she doesn't know if she's going to be able to come back.
Oh, those are hard.
Yeah. She's doing better, but she just doesn't know that she's going to be able to come back in the capacity of sitting at the desk. So,
But with the full-time position, their main job will be absentee ballot clerk, but you'll be utilizing them when they're.
yes,
not
they
doing
will
that.
be cross-trained on other areas, but their main job next year is going to be absentee ballots. Getting the applications in, tracking them, logging them in the system, mailing them out, and they will do that with the assistance of the other people in the office,
Right.
but that will be their main job. And then in any downtime, they'll cross-train on other areas.
And getting them in there now will be ideal so that you can get them cross-trained on several things, but really getting them prepared. Absentee ballots were very big last year.
Yes, we had
So-
over 600 in November of last year, and it was all hands on deck, working sometimes 6-7 days a week to get all of those out. So with this, we'll be able to, hopefully get them out quicker. I mean, we have that 3-day window from the time we receive the application that it has to go out, and having another full-time person will help us out a lot.
Any additional comments?
I met with the superintendent of the Board of Education today, and I had a very nice conversation with him, Mr. Thomas, and I have been in the discussion with him about, he's going to take it to the Board of Education about making the March the 12th election day for the presidential primary and in-service learning day for the kids. So hopefully the board will approve that, and then we won't have to worry about the number of people that will be coming in the schools while kids are there on that day.
What does that mean?
They would do a virtual learning day that day, so the kids wouldn't be in school when we're holding the election on the 12th of March.
Good.
Anything else? Any other questions for Stacy? Okay. All right, next item on the agenda is public comments. And if we have anyone that wants to speak. All right, there being no public comments, we'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is board comments. Terry?
Yeah, I would just like to thank Larry for his service and his professionalism, and, we belong to different political parties, but that has never made a difference in our communications and in our, friendliness and collegiality with each other, and, for that matter, with everybody on the board. So I appreciate it, and you will be missed.
Thank you.
Mike?
Yep, thank you for all your service. I know what long days you had to deal with because I was right there with you. But we do appreciate you, and definitely made a friend too. So
Thanks, Mike.
Same here.
And, I echo their sentiment, and I'm gonna definitely miss you too, because you were my ride buddy. We were out there doing it till the wee hours of the night, so.
Did you have anything to say about who's going to take your place?
Oh, no.
I think they made the announcement, didn't they?
It was voted on at the last Board of Commissioners meeting.
It's Richard Frady.
Richard Frady.
I may know him, but
Not by
until I saw him, I wouldn't, so I don't know him that well.
Richard Frady.
He was a poll worker for us in last year's election, him and his wife.
Oh,
And which poll?
I believe it was Ludlow.
All right. Any other board comments? All right. Final item is a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Meeting adjourned.